In today's class, we'll discuss about DNA modifying enzymes. These are the enzymes required during the production of recombinant DNA. Many of the enzymes which are required for the production of recombinant DNA, we have already discussed. That's where when I come across those already discussed enzymes, I'll go a little bit faster. And the enzymes whichever are not covered in the previous class, I'll go little slowly. And this is one essay question. Generally, they ask in the university exams, explain the different DNA modifying enzymes with their mechanism of action used in recombinant DNA technology. In that case, you have to write the mechanism of action, their uses, properties of all these enzymes, whichever we are going to discuss in today's class. A little introductory information here. These enzymes, they play very important role in the modification of DNA molecule. What sort of modification? They're involved in cutting the DNA molecule and also joining the DNA molecules. And you know what are the enzymes required for cutting the DNA molecules? They are restriction endonucleases. And for joining the DNA molecules, DNA ligases are there. In addition, we will also be discussing about DNA polymerase, and we have already seen the mechanism of action and how it is useful in recombinant DNA technology about alkaline phosphatase. We also discussed about polynucleotide kinase, another important enzyme in recombinant DNA technology, and we will also look at the properties and uses of nucleases, which includes DNAs as well as RNAs. Coming to the discovery, who discovered which enzyme? DNA polymerases are discovered in the year of 1955 by Arthur Kornberg and his colleagues, whereas DNA ligase was discovered by Richardson and Weiss. The first sequence-specific restriction nuclease in the year 1968 was discovered by Smith, Wilcox, and Kelly. These are the scientists involved in the discovery of these important enzymes used in recombinant DNA technology. First class of enzymes which are used in this recombinant DNA technology are the restriction endonucleases. In detail, we discussed about restriction endonucleases. We discussed about the types, the mechanism of action, which type of enzymes are used in recombinant DNA technology, how the cleavage pattern of these enzymes, their uses, all those details we have discussed. Quickly, I will summarize once again. As you know, these restriction endonucleases are called molecular scissors because they cut the DNA in the specific sites. This term is coined by Lederberg. All these details are here. First, it was first restriction enzyme was isolated from the E. coli case strain. There are three different types of these restriction enzymes: type 1, type 2, type 3. We also know the mechanism of action of these three different restriction enzymes. Among these three types, type 2 are very specific because they cut the DNA within the recognition sequence. That's how the fragments produced are of specific length. That's how these type 2 restriction endonucleases are found to be useful in DNA cloning. And there are three different patterns how the restriction fragments are produced. It can be 5' overhang cohesive ends or 3' overhang cohesive ends, or it could be blunt-ended fragments. Depending upon your usage, you need to choose the enzyme in order to produce the your choice of type of restriction fragments. When it comes to the mechanism of action, when it cleaves the DNA, it cleaves the sugar phosphate backbone of the DNA. And there is also a database of restriction endonucleases called Rebase with its properties. Here, few examples of these restriction enzymes are given with their source and recognition sequence. EcoR1 from Escherichia coli, the recognition sequence is so and so. EcoR2 is also from E. coli, the recognition sequence is given here. Similarly, another example, all these examples also we discussed while discussing the restriction endonucleases. BAM-H1 is from Bacillus aminoliquefaciens, for which the recognition sequence is given here. So here it describes how the fragments produced by restriction endonuclease are joined together. So here from two different DNA sources, if they have the compatible sticky ends or cohesive ends, when you allow them to join, what happens? Because of the compatible cohesive ends, they would be able to anneal by base pairing, and when they join by annealing or by the base pairing of the complementary bases present in two different sources of DNA, there will be nicks left over here. These nicks will be joined or sealed by the activity of DNA ligase by the formation of phosphodiester bond. The types I have already mentioned. We have three different types, and their mechanism of actions are different. Among these three different types, type 1 and type 3, though they have the specific recognition sequences, their cleavage site is not within the recognition sequence. The cleavage takes place somewhere away from the recognition sequence, which is why this type 1 and type 3 are not very useful in DNA cloning, whereas type 2, the cleavage site is present within the recognition sequence. That's how it produces the specific length of fragments. That's why it is found to be very useful in recombinant DNA technology. But still, we need to study the type 1 and type 3 restriction enzymes in order to make sure the organism whichever will be used as host organism, that should be devoid of these other type of restriction enzymes in order to avoid the degradation of the recombinant DNA. I hope you are able to follow. Coming to the uses, obviously, these are the molecular scissors, and these are very important in recombinant DNA technology. In fact, in the very beginning classes, I mentioned that after the discovery of restriction endonucleases only, the DNA cloning has become possible, because this technology or this procedure requires the cutting of DNA molecules. The main use of this restriction endonucleases in recombinant DNA technology is to cut the DNA at their specific sites, whichever to be incorporated in the vector. They are also, in addition, used to map DNA molecules physically and to analyze the polymorphic population. It is also used for to prepare molecular probes to create mutants. These are all the additional uses of restriction endonucleases. But when we talk about recombinant DNA technology, the important use of this restriction endonucleases is to cut the DNA into the fragment whichever we desire to clone or to produce recombinant DNA. Moving on to the next class of enzymes. Again, to quickly summarize DNA ligases. The other set of enzymes which are required for joining the DNA molecules are DNA ligases. Two different DNA ligases we discussed. DNA ligase which is obtained from E. coli, and DNA ligase from the bacteriophage T4, and both require cofactors for their activity. E. coli DNA ligase requires adenylating agent ATP, whereas T4 DNA ligase requires NAD for its activity. Adenylating agent is required, and this adenylating agent activates the phosphate group so that it will become ready for attack by the 3' hydroxyl group. So if you look at here, when you allow the cohesive ends of two DNA fragments to be joined, because of the complementary bases present in the compatible ends, they anneal because of the base pairing, but still there will be nick formed. If there is availability of 3' hydroxyl group and 5' phosphate group in the presence of this DNA ligase, of course, which requires the presence of adenylating agent, the phosphate group will be activated, which will be attacked by the 3' hydroxyl group, and subsequently it forms the phosphodiester bond, because of which the nick will be sealed. So that's the activity of DNA ligase. This is very important while producing recombinant DNA, specifically while joining the DNA molecules. Uses, obviously, for joining the DNA molecules in recombinant DNA technology. If you recollect, we also studied the activity of DNA ligase during the completion of lagging strand synthesis during DNA replication. We also find its activity during the processes of DNA repair In addition, nucleic acid molecules to attach them to vectors before this is the major application we discuss in recombinant DNA technology. It is also used in detection of point mutations in DNA by the ligase. So these are all the various uses of DNA ligase. Basically, it is involved, it is used for joining the DNA molecules while producing the recombinant DNA or recombinant DNA molecule. The next important enzyme, DNA modifying enzyme, which is used in recombinant DNA technology, is alkaline phosphatase. I'm sure in detail I discussed in the previous class. The main usage of alkaline phosphatase comes in order to avoid the formation of the unwanted products during the ligation. When we allow the ligation reaction to take place, in addition to our product of interest, there will be unwanted products formed. What are those unwanted products? The religation of the original vector without the incorporation of the foreign fragment. That is the main unwanted side reaction that takes place during the ligation. In order to avoid the formation of this religated vector without the incorporation of foreign DNA, we treat the linearized vector with the enzyme alkaline phosphatase. This alkaline phosphatase removes the phosphate group from the 5' terminal. When there is no 5' terminal at the when there is no phosphate group at the 5' terminal, it cannot be religated without the presence of foreign DNA. So, but still ligation can happen when there is the foreign DNA, because at the 5' end of the foreign DNA, there is one phosphate group present. So, the ligation take place. The nicks present in the other strands can be always sealed by the cellular DNA repair mechanisms. That's how this alkaline phosphatase is used while producing the recombinant DNA molecule. So, here the pictorial representation, the linearized vector. When you allow the ligation to take place, there is always possibility for the religation of the vector without the incorporation of the foreign DNA, or it could also form dimers. That is why when you treat it with alkaline phosphatase, it removes the phosphate groups. When there is no phosphate group at the 5' terminal, when you allow the ligation reaction to take place, it will not be ligated without the incorporation of the foreign DNA. But still ligation can take place in the presence of foreign DNA, because there are phosphate groups present at the 5' terminal of your foreign DNA. So one strand is joined here by the formation of phosphodiester bond, but the other strand there are nicks which will be sealed after the transformation into the host organism. So that's how the alkaline phosphatase is used in recombinant DNA technology, in order to avoid the formation of religated vectors without the incorporation of foreign DNA. Uses, obviously, to avoid the self-ligation of the vector, as I discussed. In addition, it is also used in the dairy industry as an indicator for pasteurization. These are the additional uses, but the main use is to avoid the self-ligation of the vector without the incorporation of foreign DNA. Next enzyme, polynucleotide kinase. This also I discussed in the previous class, but still, since we are discussing all the enzymes together, this enzyme also comes as very important enzyme, polynucleotide kinase. As you all know, polynucleotide kinase, in the presence of ATP or ADP, it adds or removes phosphate group from the 5' end, and it is reversible in its action. In the presence of ATP, it adds the or phosphorylates the 5' terminus, but in the presence of ADP, it removes the phosphate group from the 5' terminus. And the main usage where we have seen in recombinant DNA technology about the polynucleotide kinase is especially when we use adapters. When we use adapters, we use the ends with the hydroxyl groups. That is in order to avoid the self polymerization. But later, for the ligation to occur, we need the phosphate group to be present. In that case, before going for ligation, those molecules are treated with polynucleotide kinase in the presence of ATP. So it adds the phosphate groups at the 5' terminal. Then it will become ready for the ligation to take place. So here, mechanism of action of polynucleotide kinase. Forward reaction, as I told you, in the presence of ATP, the polynucleotide kinase, it adds phosphate group at the 5' terminus. If you look at the exchange reaction in the presence of ADP, it removes the phosphate group at the 5' terminus, but it is reversible. If ATP is present, it adds the phosphate group at the 5' terminus. So this is how the polynucleotide kinase is used in order to add or remove phosphate groups from the ends of the DNA molecules. Coming to the uses, as I told you, one use is to add the phosphate groups before going for the ligation. And majorly end labeling of DNA or RNA can be carried out with this polynucleotide kinase, which can be used as probes, and those probes are used for sequencing. It can also be used for removal of phosphate groups from the 3' terminus. Basically, the probes produced can be used for hybridization, or they can be used for transcript mapping, and they can also be used as markers for gel electrophoresis. And in addition, these probes can also be used as primers for DNA sequencing. Next, nucleases. In nucleases, two nucleases we'll be discussing, DNase and RNase. DNase is an endonuclease that cleaves the double-stranded or single-stranded DNA. Preferentially, the cleavage takes place adjacent to pyrimidine. It could be C or T residues. And major products produced are, because of the DNase activity, that could be 5' phosphorylated di, tri or tetranucleotides. It requires manganese ions for its activity. In the presence of manganese ions, the enzyme cleaves both the strands of DNA at approximately the same site, and it could result the formation of blunt-ended fragments or fragments with one or two base overhangs. Coming to the usage of this DNase, in order to eliminate the DNA present in the RNA preparations, in the RNA, when you want the RNA in pure form, there could be the possibility of contamination of DNA. In order to remove that DNA contamination, we can use this DNase. Or for analyzing, you all know DNase enzyme was used while identifying the protein binding sites on DNA. So this DNase is used for analyzing DNA protein interactions via DNase footprinting. I'm sure you are all aware of this DNase footprinting technique. In the last semester, we discussed the technique in detail. In addition, it can also be used for nicking the DNA before the radio labeling by the method nick translation. There also we use DNase for making the nicks. Next nuclease is RNase A. Two different RNases we will discuss, RNase A and RNase H. So this RNase A, it cleaves the single-stranded RNA at the 3' end of pyrimidine, 3' end of pyrimidine residues. The end products are pyrimidine, 3' phosphates, and oligonucleotides with the terminal pyrimidine 3' phosphates. It does not require any cofactors and divalent cations for its activity. Coming to the uses of this RNase A, RNase A obviously will be used for eliminating RNA contamination in the preparations of DNA. The way I mentioned that DNase is used for removing DNA contamination in RNA preparations, RNase is used for eliminating RNA contamination in DNA preparations. It can also be used for mapping mutations in DNA or RNA, and it will also cleave the RNA in RNA DNA hybrids. So these are all the uses of this RNase A. Going to the next RNase is RNase H. This RNase H, it catalyzes the degradation of RNA moiety of DNA RNA hybrids, and it results the formation of oligoribonucleotides of various length with 3' hydroxyl group and 5' phosphate group. It is also involved in inhibition of gene expression of antisense deoxy oligonucleotides, and it also suppresses the initiation of DNA synthesis at the sites other than origin of replication. Next important enzyme which we see, our next important DNA modifying enzyme is DNA polymerase 1 holoenzyme. About this enzyme, its properties we have studied in detail during the replication process, DNA replication process in the previous semester, how it is used in used for modifying the DNA. This is DNA dependent DNA polymerase, and what are the activities of this DNA polymerase 1? It has 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. This 3' to 5' exonuclease activity is the proofreading activity. It also has 5' to 3' exonuclease activity. In addition, 5' to 3' polymerization activity. And it is the single chain protein with a mass of about so and so daltons, and it requires magnesium as cofactor for its activity. It is used in RDT for radio labeling DNA and synthesizing cDNA. So here another version of this DNA polymerase 1 is DNA polymerase 1 clenofragment. Many times this is asked for 5 marks also. What is this DNA polymerase 1 clenofragment? When you treat the DNA polymerase 1 with protease, it is cleaved into two different fragments, small fragment and larger fragment. The larger fragment is known as clenofragment. The smaller fragment retains the 5' to 3' exonuclease activity, whereas the larger fragment, which is known as clenofragment, it does not have 5' to 3' exonuclease activity, but it has the polymerase activity and 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, which is proofreading activity. So that is clenofragment of DNA polymerase 1. I hope you guys are able to follow. This clenofragment is nothing but the larger fragment when the DNA polymerase 1 is subjected to cleavage by protease. This larger fragment or clenofragment has 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, which is proofreading activity, in addition to the polymerase activity. Whereas the 5' to 3' exonuclease activity is retained by the other portion of the enzyme, that is the smaller fragment. What are the uses of this clenofragment? It is used for the synthesis of double-stranded DNA from single-stranded templates, and it is also used for filling in the recessed 3' ends of DNA fragments and for digesting away the protruding 3' overhangs, because it has 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, and it's used for the preparation of radioactive DNA probes. Next, another enzyme polymerase is T4DNA polymerase. It is similar to the clenofragment of DNA polymerase 1. It has the functions 5' to 3' DNA polymerase activity, 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. It also does not have 5' to 3' exonuclease activity similar to your clenofragment. This 3' to 5' or exonuclease activity or proofreading activity of your T4 DNA polymerase is 200 times to the clenofragment activity. That means it's more potential than clenofragment. And another difference is that this T4 DNA polymerase, it will not displace the downstream oligonucleotides as it polymerizes. That you will see in case of clenofragment, displacement of the downstream oligonucleotides, but you do not see the displacement of oligonucleotides as it polymerizes. So these are the functions of T4 DNA polymerase. Where do we use this T4 DNA polymerase? It is used for DNA sequencing by the chain termination technique. What is this chain termination technique used for DNA sequencing? That we'll study in detail when we move on to the 5th unit. But here what you need to understand is this T4 DNA polymerase is used for DNA sequencing by this chain termination technique, and it can be modified. The DNA polymerase T4 DNA polymerase can be modified by chemically treating or by genetic engineering to abolish this proofreading activity. This modified form is called sequences. Sequences is used for DNA sequencing reactions again. So these are the uses of T4 DNA polymerase, another DNA modifying enzyme. So these are all the DNA modifying enzymes you need to list with their properties, mechanism of action and application in DNA cloning. What did we discuss? Restriction endonucleases, DNA ligases, alkaline phosphatase, polynucleotide kinase, nucleases in which DNase, RNase A, RNase H, and we also discussed DNA polymerase. In that DNA polymerase 1, another version of DNA polymerase 1 is clenofragment. After clenofragment, we also discussed about T4 DNA polymerase. These are all the different enzymes. Many times it has been asked as essay question, I told you. If you have written the restriction endonucleases, ligases, mechanism of action in detail, in that case, you don't need to repeat it, but you make the outline of this answer. Like, whichever the enzymes missing there, that you write in detail. The remaining enzymes, you just mention that it is written so and so. So this is another essay question for your examination point of view. This is also referred from Old and Primrose.